Yo, what's going on? You already know it's Dwayne and Zeeq with the Speak Easy podcast.
What's up, y'all?
Presented by LIT. And so as Zeke's been alluding to for the past couple of weeks, he just dropped his project called The Last Laugh. And he's not joking around with you niggas.
More music on the way, Right now, I'm currently building up my vernacular, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So, what was your inspiration behind the project?
Failure. Like, tons and tons of failure. I've learned so much through trial and error, and I've learned so much through being a failure than I've ever learned being a success. So, to me, it was a success to be able to embrace my failure. And that was the basis, or like the theme of the project, that not everything is as it seems, and that ultimately in the long run of everything, it does you well to have a good attitude towards things and not be susceptible to how other people experience this life.
Indeed. So I heard a couple of tracks, and I definitely bang with it. I haven't heard it in the whip yet. You got to give it the whip test.
Exactly. I don't mind. Like, hey, you have to listen to it several places before you even could say it's like decent. Like, you know what I mean? Or even has like a few songs here and there. So don't worry, I'm just like that. I listen to everyone's projects, and I'm the same way, yo. Whenever you can listen to it, whenever you get to listen to it, hey, listen. Just as long as you're able to listen. Don't hear me. Like, listen. Like,
Right. Exactly. Like, you can hear something, like, in the background. Mm-hmm. Like, you can hear, like, you're in the house by yourself and you hear something. It's like, oh, shit. But Correct. To actually listen to it, that's something totally different.
Then you'd be able to pinpoint what it is. Like,
Yeah.
like you hear something in the house and it's, like, moving around, you can make a bunch of assumptions about what it is, but it's a matter of what it is that matters most. And, just tell me what I am. Like, I don't want to be anything other than myself.
Mm-hmm.
So... to appeal to other people who have the same mindset as me, or who are able to actually have thought the way I have thought, like, is something that I think transcends the reality.
So, what do you think is your best track, or your most standout track, or the track that took the most, that you put the most into, like the most feeling, the most emotion, the most personal track for you?
All right, so it's a tie. Literally, because, alright, let me put it to you like this. I had one song that I told myself I'd be able to get past the demon that is procrastination, and that song I was working on for 2 years. So, like, that was Today's Tomorrow, and that song was just really important for me because it was like my own personal goal and my own personal development that I was tracking and, just trying to figure out myself how I can get this done. Because, it's not like I didn't have the resources. Like, I had all these resources, and it was like this song still didn't come together because it was like I didn't have a certain amount of life lived, or perhaps I didn't learn what procrastination was or how I can get over it yet. So that was the theme of that song. Like, if you hear it, it sounds like it could be anything else or something else, but that's my point about the song itself. Like, I didn't want people to take it literal. Everything could be seen in several different ways, and I did that purposely and intentionally because not everyone's living the same kind of life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I named it Today's Tomorrow because it's like you're worried about all these, like, these external problems that could be internal peace. And I spent too many days worrying about what could happen, what's the worst that could happen, instead of just going through with it and knowing what happened. So that was a personal song for me. The Today's Tomorrow joint, it's like death to procrastination and end to procrastination, and just get it done, do it now, because you will be waiting for something for 2 years when you could have did it months ago. Like, you could have did it a year ago. You could have did it in that day you thought of it. Like,
Right.
It's one thing human beings have shown me is that anything is possible when you actually care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's many people out here who don't give a fuck, and it's fine. Like, but to be careful and to care about what it is you're doing and having like a clear vision for it, I feel is important because you don't want to be off track. You don't want to be derailed into doing something totally different than you had intended, even if even if you had like the best intentions, like it can go wrong. So yeah, that was an important track. And then the second one was Laughing Orphan, and that was important to me because it was just like bring everyone back down to like reality. Like come on now, like y'all complaining about all these things, like, oh, this one over here, he got no money, he don't got that new Ferrari, he don't got that new Gucci belt, he don't got that new link chain, and this, that, and the third. So how could he possibly be successful? And it's just like, that's such a lame mindset, because you mean to tell me that this person lived all these years on this planet, and the only method of value you can place upon them is finances? Is bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? To me, it's just bullshit. Especially considering like one missile that burned down a bunch of kids' village is equivalent to like 8 years of your education in a high institute learning facility. Like you know what I mean? One missile, and they send plenty of them. Like, you know, so that's what Laughing Orphan was about. It was just the idea that we all need to be appreciative of what we do have, because there's people out there who would want the things you take for granted every day, like sight, vision, like, you know, like the ability to taste, to hear, like, you know, to walk, you know, to have hands. Like, people take all these things for granted, and then when they lose it, it's like, now it's a burden to them. Like, you know what I mean? But if you would appreciate it for what it is to begin with, you will understand there's nothing really to complain about. Don't get me wrong, I know everyone has the things they go through, they have their problems, we all have things we want to sort out, perhaps obligations we want to get to, that we feel like we don't have the right amount of confidence or just the resources to get done. But I'm telling you right now, like, as someone who's seen it firsthand, like, it's definitely possible to get whatever it is you want to get done whenever it is you want to get it done. Because, you know, sometimes it's not a matter of going through the proper channels, and that's what everyone likes to say. It's a matter of how much you want it, like, you know?
Right.
So that's all. Like, that was really the main songs that stuck out for me the most. I mean, I'm sure I've had spent many time on all those songs, but, like, I think those two are the most important because they drove my point. They drove my point to like this destination, and that was the main reason for it all. The whole tape itself was those two tracks. If I were to describe anything about this album, it was those two tracks. Like, be appreciative for what you have. Understand there's someone with less. Understand there's someone with more, and understand that the only person who could stop you from getting more or keep you having less is you. Like, you know, so I'm still learning this myself, and that's what I'm trying to spew out to this world.
Yeah, no doubt. I think people definitely get caught up in their first world privilege. I mean, if you can boss up anywhere, it's America. And honestly, if you can't boss up in America, you just wasn't meant to be a boss. That's kind of how it goes.
There we go.
You know, people take a lot of things for granted. Something as simple as wiping your ass. You can wipe your ass in America.
It always feels good. You always feel like wiping your ass is just some minuscule task until you're sitting somewhere in the forest and you have to wipe your ass with like a leaf or something like that. Like, you know what I mean?
And you hope it's not poison ivy.
Yeah, you hope it's not. But you know what? If you don't know about that plant, there's a good chance it is poison ivy, and hey, you might have a rash.
And be assed out. So yeah, anyway, you know, it's just
No
perhaps. Anyway. So, you know, let me see. So you have some features on there, right?
I have a few features on there. Mostly it's like people I was growing up with. Yeah, everyone I grew up with is strictly like close-knit. Like, anybody who worked on music with me for years, I put them on there. It wasn't like nobody like rich and famous or just, you know, randoms. You know, and I'm still collaborating with people, so don't get it twisted. It's not like I'm just setting my ways. It's like, for this particular project, for when I decided I wanted to have this project, it made sense to have those people I featured on there. But, you know,
right.
You know, I'm still collaborating, and I'm still willing to collaborate. Like, I'm still willing to learn from people who are, whether you're older or younger than me. If you got that experience, I want to link up, and I want to find out what this sound is like. I know it's a tedious thing. Like, people think going to the studio is this glamorous thing. And let me be the first to let you know, yo, it's work. Like, there's nothing glamorous about going to the studio sometimes.
Especially when you got to pay by the hour.
Especially when you have to pay by the hour. That's important. And people always try to make it seem like it's freaking Empire or Love and Hip Hop. And it's just like, no, man. Like, sometimes you gotta go in there, lock in, like, and it's like you're taking a test with a Scantron, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all there is to it. You know, bring your number 2 pencil.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I just one second.
Did I fuck it up?
Nah.
No, it's cool.
I fucked it up.
No, you ain't fuck it up. It's cool. Anyway, what was he talking about again?
Yeah, no, like, it's like when you get in the studio, like, it's nothing glamorous about it. Like, sometimes you just have to sit down and you be sitting there for hours just, like, trying to figure out what it is you want to do or how you want to complete it. Majority of the time, you don't you can leave the studio and not complete a song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people be, like, walking in there and they go, oh, I'm going to make the next big hit in this one studio session, and then that's all there is to it, and then it's done. And after this, I'm going to shoot a music video for it, and it's, like, it's not that cut and dry.
It's really not, and a lot of times people that go in with the expectations to make a hit, it don't really be hitting like that.
Exactly. You know, so my thing is, like, I go into the studio, I have no expectations. I'm feeling the vibes out. I'm seeing what's going to happen. I'm seeing what's going to go well, what could go wrong. But majority of the time, it's nothing fun about it unless you're that type of dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of us, like, a lot of us that the people we hang out with, like, they're those type of dudes, and they appreciate just kicking it in the studio all day and figuring out what works and what sounds dope. Like, we grew up on a lot of dope artists, and we listened to a lot of dope artists. When everyone was listening to what was being spoon-fed to everyone, like, we were, like, the ones who, like, actually actively sought to listen to the ones that were underground or the ones that had, like, a different sound than what everyone else seemed to have liked. And I think that had, like, a heavy influence on, like, how everyone makes music now.
So, for those that don't know, because I know this, how important is a relationship between the artist and the engineer?
Yo. Yo, that is the number one important relationship. Honestly, other than the one with yourself and understanding where you're going with your craft, your engineer is like your best friend. Like you should be your engineer's best man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Point blank period. Like, look at every single track like a wedding, and you should be your engineer's best man, or your engineer should be your best man, whatever you want to call it. Like, something along those lines. And the thing is, like, a majority of the time, if you don't have proper communication, like, forget a relationship, you have to have proper communication with your engineer, because there's a lot of people who don't have relationships with their engineer. Like, let's keep it thorough. But
And it shows.
Exactly, and they just do well. Like, you know what I mean? That they just do well what their craft is. Like, the engineer does what he does, the artist does what he does, and they come into a studio session and they complete whatever it is they came to do. It's like business almost. Like, that's damn near business. That is business. Like, you know, in some cases. But then there's some engineers who, like, they exceed that. Like, you know what I mean? It's more than just the business for them, and they have, like, an actual musical perspective where they're not going to steer you wrong or put their name on something that looks a certain way.
Right.
Just for the sake of the money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the engineer-artist relationship is the number one relationship you should worry about. Forget all the hoes you want to bring with you to the studio. Forget the homies you want to bring with you to the studio. Like, all that shit. Focus. If anything, try to be like, you and your engineer should have at least one session where it's just y'all. Like, you know what I mean? And then you figure out what it is you want to do, because sometimes everything else could be distraction. That's what I learned. Because I started out in this, like, freaking so out of the norm. Like, I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like, I knew I wanted to record. I knew I could deliver, but I just didn't know what studio etiquette was, quote unquote. You know,
Yeah.
so.
I feel you. I mean, I had situations where I ended up recording like a song. It was like a basement and just like a regular mic coming from the ceiling in the middle of a party.
Can't go wrong. I mean, if it records, why not?
But I'm just saying, like, there was like no soundproof anything. It was in the middle of a party.
All right, well, that's a little different. So, I mean, like, how did they record it? Was it just like
again, a mic
that's it? Like,
coming out the ceiling? I think I had headphones. I don't even remember. But again, it was like the middle of a party.
But don't you catch, like, the white noise in the background and whatnot?
Look, it was black noise.
Oh, I get it. I get the joke. See what you did there. No, I mean, like, it was a song, or was it like a radio show? It was like a podcast like this, or what?
It was a song. Like, it was a song. I remember before someone played me the song, and I like came up with a hook. Like, immediately. That's kind of what I do. I was like, yo, let me just add that on there. And I did that, but it was like in the middle of a party. I thought we was gonna have like a session, you know, off to the side, but no, it was like in the middle of a party. People was drinking and doing all